Today is the day. It's my last month in this journal, so help me say a hearty thank you and goodbye, Otagami. Yes, I will be finishing up this notebook this month, so I'm going out all mad colours, full-on artist mayhem. I'm Jules and this is a plan with me for August 2020. Poke the sub for more videos on this kind of chipper blarney. Sit back and enjoy this with a tequila sunrise if you happen to have one.
Clearly I'd had way too much caffeine when I filmed that this morning, so forgive me for that. I am using Crayola Super Dips as usual, and I've got two different colours here. I think I've used maybe 4 or 5 different blues in total, but I've got 2 here. I've got a sort of palish but brightish blue, and I've got a royal blue, and putting down some of that pale colour first and then going in with the darker colour and mixing and blending the 2 colours together before they dry, and that gives this lovely shaded graduation effect. This is the cover page and the what's the word for it? Inspirational quote page. Thank you. Yes, it's the inspirational quote page with butterflies all over it, and I'm just going to do these butterflies first. I'm going to do the blues, different coloured blues, different sorts. This one is a Nude pen, but it's quite a purpley sort of blue. And then once that's all dried, I'm going to add the black. This is a Tombow Fudenosuke pen. The reason I quite like it is because I think it's great for drawing with, because you can get that fat and thin line depending on how hard you're pressing on it. A lot of people use this for lettering, and that's what I bought it for, but I actually have never been able to get it to work properly in the sort of lettering that I do, but it is wonderful for drawing with. So I can get very fine lines around the edges to especially around the teeniest little details, and then colouring in the sort of larger areas as well is really easy, because you just press a little bit harder and more ink comes out. And then I've used a brush pen for doing this edging bit, just because I needed to fill a massive space. It didn't really matter. I decided to use the brush pen rather than the super tips, just because it's got a thinner end to it. Now, the lettering. I always use these Papermate flares for my lettering. I just think they're absolutely fantastic to write with. I was at an author event in London some years ago, and I saw somebody signing their name with this, and I thought, if it's good enough for him, I'm going to give it a go. And I have never looked back since. I buy boxes of these in sort of 12s or 20s or something, because I use them all the time. And this is quite well-known quote, but I think kind of apt. I was looking for something that was butterfly related. If nothing ever changed, there would be no such things as butterflies. But there's one certainty in life alongside taxes, and that is that things will change. We're in a massive time of change at the moment, so it's a good idea to just hang on to that thought and think, well, do you know what? Nothing ever stays the same. Let's just go with it and see what happens. If you're interested in my thoughts on whether or not businesses can survive COVID, then check out the video that's next week, because I've done a whole video this morning. I filmed it on whether creative arts businesses can survive, particularly thinking about people that make books and people that illustrate and artists, but also really anybody, and that could include photographers or filmmakers or people who do pottery.
I came back inside to draw this because the sun had crept round the side of the house and was shining off the paper and I couldn't see what I was doing. So I've come back into the studio for this bit. If you want the tutorial on how to draw these butterflies and moths, then I'll link it in the description box below. It's a real-time walkthrough on how to draw these magnificent and beautiful creatures, and I'll give you step-by-step tips and advice on how to make them look so pretty, and definitely well worth a look. Check it out, it's in the description box below.
This page is my at a glance page, so it's just a very straightforward numbers 1 to 31 and the day next to it, and that just gives me a very brief overview of things that might happen in August. So that's things like any events that I've got that are definitely happening, things like appointments, and also deadlines as well. It's a good place to put those. And then on that facing page on the right hand side, notes and my income tracker.
Actually, I've noticed that in my at a glance page and sometimes in my tasks page, I've had lots of things creeping in that I would never have seen there before, like for example Zoom meetings or quizzes and things like that, or even just like getting exercise, or just weird things that I would never have seen before. What have you seen in your diary or your calendar that wasn't there before?
I decided that I'd probably like to colour in the weekdays in this pale blue, and then the weekend I will just do in a darker grey colour. And following on from what I've been doing the last few months, instead of doing one whole week over those 2 pages, I've just been using 1 page. So I decided, oh yes, look at the tip, terrible. I decided that I would do 5 boxes, and then my 6th box I'm going to split into the weekend days. So I'm using my 0.3 pen for making these outlines, and then you'll notice at the bottom of each box there is a blank space, and that's for my meal ideas for that night, because as I've told you in many of my videos, I am a stalwart for having something in mind for cooking that evening, because the last thing I can be bothered to do when I finish doing all my work for the day is to try and decide what it is we're going to be eating. I'd much rather know in advance, and that way I can also shop smart, not waste loads of food. Then down in that bottom part I'm doing, that's where my tasks are going to go. I decided to use this really pretty butterfly washi tape, and I've torn it in between the butterflies so you get whole butterflies. Don't want any half butterflies, that would really upset me and give me nightmares. And then I've done the dots already for my tasks, so I don't have to think about that. Another thing that I don't have to worry about, dots. And then doing a bit more of this graduated shading again. I think there's a word for it that's ombre, but I don't really, it's not something that a word I use very often, so I'm not going to use it. I'm going to say graduated shading.
Then this is what it looks like when you've finished colouring all those areas in with the black Fudenosuke pen, and it's a great pen for drawing with. You can, with the antennae, press harder and then lift off as you're getting towards the edge to make those thinner lines. And this is a Sakura Jelly Roll pen. It's the size 1.0 or 10, and this is just to make those little dotted white areas to pick up some details on the edges of those lovely wings. Next is my master task list and my key tasks for the month. I've put these two together because I haven't got quite so many as I had done previously, although things are beginning to ramp up a little bit, which is good news. And then I think I'm just going to use some more of this washi tape, making sure that I break between the butterflies. I'm actually doing all of this outside, which is why you can see the paper flapping about. So it's kind of like being on holiday really, except I'm just about 10 metres away from my usual working space. This side I'm doing is kind of like my gratitude page. It's called The Little Things. Bought one of those handy little rulers with lots of different circles on it, and I think the circle I'm using is the 0.22 or the 0.25. I'm just going to draw 31 of those to write something every day of something that's just nice that's happened, that gives me a bit of a sense of well-being. And then everybody who's got a YouTube channel should be collecting their statistics, so here's mine. I really love the colour of this old notebook, but I can't seem to find one locally to match it. So what I've done is I've got a black paperback dotted notebook for the last 4 months of 2020, and then when we come to the new year I'm going to buy a new one. So any advice on colours or types of bullet journal would be greatly appreciated in the comments. Holy cow, 2021, let's hope it's a better year next year. If you're interested in my proper day job, then check out my books. I will leave the store link in the description box below. If you liked the video, then you know what to do. If you don't know what to do, it's give me a thumbs up, subscribe and ding the bell next to it, but I'm pretty sure you do know what to do. Let me know in the comments if you managed to find a tequila sunrise in time, or if you had a different beverage of choice. Next week I am asking the question, will my business survive COVID? And that's particularly for creative makers. I'm off to find my fairy costume and see if any butterflies want to kind of make friends with me. I'll see you next time. Nano nano!